All right. Hello, welcome to our Practical AI episode number, what are we,
17.
17. All right, 17. Welcome, everyone. Every week we go through all the news and the trends and the latest and the greatest in AI world, and we bring it all here for you to learn with us as we learn it along. And this week we have another huge release. Gemini 3 got released. So we will be talking a lot about that. But talk is just the talk. We're actually going to be walking you through some demos and learning with you guys. And then we'll talk about one of a very interesting AI startup that has grown to about 25 million ARR. So we're going to do another AI economics deep dive into how they make money, so we can learn from that. And we can,
and maybe give you a workflow you can use.
Yeah, and build a so you can build whatever company you're building, or whatever it is that you're creating, and you can learn from what's working out there right now as we are building this plane, as we're flying it literally in AI world. Do you have anything else to say before we dive in?
Well, we're going to build something here today together if you want.
Oh,
and I think that's interesting, actually using some AI tools during the show. I like that. I like outputs from AI. Talking about it's one thing. Actually doing something you care about is another. And we're going to be doing that today.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get this party started. So I know there's a lot of talk about Gemini 3 release, and I do want to talk about kind of like what happened with this release. But again, I really want to spend more time actually building this. So Gemini 3 got released on November 18. So it's fresh, hot off the press, or how do you say it?
It's hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses. Tuesday. So here's the cool thing about this Gemini 3 launch. It can take your napkin sketch to the real app. So you can literally draw anything you want on the paper or anything anywhere you want. I guess, take a picture of it and, drop it in Gemini 3, and it will create whatever it is that you're prompting you to create from that napkin. So that was an interesting premise that they did. And so we also watched Logan Kilpatrick from Google, who did a live demo with on Greg
Eisenberg
show. So that was an interesting demo. That was actually very helpful to watch. So I highly recommend to watch that too. But so here's what they did. They released this LLM, or updated LLM, and the jump is just wild. On the hardest coding benchmark, it went from 60 to 76%. On visual recognizing reasoning puzzles, 5 to 31%. And it reliably takes messy input, a sketch, make it feel retro and smooth, and a screenshot of a competitor or whatever, and it generates production quality code on the first try. So it's still vibe coding, I guess, in a way. But what we wanted to talk about today is that what do you actually do with something when you build with that? So what else did they launch in this release? So this is just like all the facts before we get into the juicy things. They launched this brand new tool called Anti-Gravity. That is Google's answer to Cursor. And it's an AI-first coding environment where Gemini 3 agents write code, test it, debug, browse for references, all autonomously. So Cursor now has a competitor. Good luck, right? So like, again, every week things are moving and changing. With Gemini 3 vibe coding release, Lovable now has a pretty big competitor as well, which will be interesting to see how this free Google toy that they just released will compete with Lovable, where you got to pay actual money to build and prompt and iterate. So it's all free to use in Google AI Studio with rate limits. It's pretty generous for you to hit it. Like I built the whole site from the prompt and I didn't have to pay anything. And then they say you pay $2 per million input tokens if you hit the ceiling.
It's about half the price of using other LLMs. And critical distinction with like Cursor or any of these other tools. Cursor, as we discussed last week, is a wrapper for these big AI tools. So like they pay OpenAI, they pay Google to access Gemini and run their requests. Google with Gemini is its own, they're running their own compute. So that's not like that pricing issue for Cursor is their number one challenge. Google doesn't have that challenge.
Right.
So the fact that they have a tool kind of encroaching on that space, very uncomfortable for Cursor.
Well,
we'll get into the mechanics of this in a little bit, but
right. And so before we go into the demo, I wanted to kind of mention their AI mode. It's not new, but they did made some changes to it, and I believe it's only available right now in the Pro mode. And it's kind of, from what I understand, it helps you, and they will release it soon.
I think they're giving people free access for now, for like a week.
For what?
The Pro.
The AI. Well, I haven't checked that out, but with AI mode, it's basically you can search for anything, and with AI, and instead of giving you links, it actually does structure it as the AI output.
Oh, I see.
But
okay.
They do embed ad in it. They just say it's sponsored. So, but it feels like it's part of the flow. So if you're traveling or doing some kind of, booking the trip or whatever, it does, like there's now ads that you gotta keep an eye on. So it says sponsored.
Right.
So
right. So it seems like the evolution of Google Ads.
Right. It's like
integrated into AI
search
recommendations.
For like best laptops for video editing under 1,000, AI builds a beautiful comparison table with entries marked sponsored. So it's not just a sidebar you ignore, it's inside the answer. So you've got to have, you got to basically keep an eye on this so you don't, I have a feeling we'll be okay with that because, they're giving, Google gives a lot of free stuff, but who knows? We'll see what happens.
There is some truth to this idea that if these businesses have enough resources to pay for these ad placements, that they're more legitimate than ones who do not.
Mm-hmm.
There is, does that mean all the best tools are going to be found this way? No, but it does it's a good sorting mechanism. Like it's skin in the game. So I don't hate it.
So anyway, so the first, so that's kind of I wanted to show a quick slide comparison on kind of the Gemini. Can you share that?
I keep having my slideshow wants to be full screen. I don't know why that is. Well, we're just going to do it. So we'll share the slides. There we go.
Yeah, you did great. So here you can see kind of what changed with Gemini from Gemini 2.5 to Gemini 3, and kind of like all the things that I've sort of mentioned. But basically, it went from being kind of a college level, struggled on novel expert questions, to now it's solving PhD level problems reliably. It could write and debug code well, but now it literally takes a sketch and turns it into a working app. And so they also needed a lot of guidance, got lost after a few steps. Now it runs multi-step tasks, which we will see in a second, and kind of real reduction in scaffolding loops for automation. So it can, it improved all around. And this is just an interesting kind of comparison to check it out. Anything jumps at you on this table?
So after playing with this, I think you should think about Gemini 3 in two specific ways. There's two ways this is really elevating your potential workflow right now, or adding, augmenting, our reality. So the first way is specifically UI and website outcomes. So when we talk about vibe coding with Gemini 3, don't think like apps and hardcore, like, code crunching, all that stuff. You need to be thinking about like front-end website stuff and UIs. It's specifically tuned to do that. We're actually going to explore, and I'll expose some patterns. Like this thing it's actually pretty limited, but it's actually very cool, but it's clearly limited. It's clearly focused on UI stuff. So we'll go over that. So UI is one. And the other thing that's maybe hidden, and that we're not set up to talk about this in detail, but I think is really going to have a high impact, is video analysis. So you can have Gemini look at clips or watch clips, and it can analyze videos and elements of the videos with greater accuracy than other tools that have been tested before. You might think about something like feeding it some sports clips, like a basketball game, and it analyzes where every player is on the floor. You could have it say, well, how many miles did LeBron James run during this game? And it might say, well, he only ran 1.6 miles, but all the other guys averaged 2.1 miles. So he's more energy efficient.
Well, and another example I saw was a lady was playing pickleball and recorded herself and then uploaded that video and asked what she needs to work on and improve and with her hitting and in the game and things like that. So I thought about you and your golf and
yes, I mentioned this in a previous show.
So it's kind of becoming this coach analyzing your live video of, not live video, but your video of how you do things.
Yeah, that's going to be an emerging and growing field in AI. People want to use these tools to get better at things, to enhance, and I really think like stuff that's personally focused. Like how can I be better? Yeah, I think that stuff really is going to catch fire in the next couple of years. So I'm definitely paying attention to that.
So this Gemini model beats Claude 4.5 and ChatGPT on a lot of things like hard reasoning, vibe coding, understanding screenshot UI, video analysis, loan documents, multi-step tasks, and ChatGPT still stays the top contender for conversational feel and speed and cost. And Claude is still ruling coding real bugs and trust and reliability.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Gemini is better at like deep code application kind of stuff, but the UI front end layer, it's absolutely head and shoulders above everything else for now.
Right. Anyway, so you can take this slide off. So why don't I start with my let's get dirty and let's see how this actually works. So what we're gonna do first,
I'll pull up your existing website for now, just so people can see.
Oh yeah, okay.
So we're gonna have a little comparison thing.
All right. So I'm actually gonna share with
So real quick. So Olga's going to show you. So this is her website right now for her sales recruiting business. It's just a simple website. It's not intended to be anything intense. And well, we got to show this first. We got to show this, then we'll show that.
So what I wanted to do yesterday is I wanted to build the whole website from the prompt, but I didn't have the prompt, right? And so I was like, okay, how do I do this? So I went to ChatGPT and I asked, hey, I want to create a business. A website for a business. Idea is sales recruiting company. That's boutique. Focus on revenue generation people. The name is Revenue Hire. What do you need to know to create a prompt to create a website for this business? Literally, this is all I said. All right. And then this is here's exactly what I need to craft a high performing website prompt for Revenue Hire. And so it went through all the things it needed to know from me, all these questions that it asked me. All right. And then I went ahead, I gave you my website because I already have a website to kind of look at. And then it kind of analyzed that, refined the questions. And then I went ahead and I answered the questions that it still needed me to answer. So like, how do I want this to feel? More about our process, the logo, the colors. So I uploaded the documents in here. And he says, perfect, I have everything I need. Below is a complete ready to use master prompt. So this is the prompt. It's very long, create a complete polished, yada, yada. Look how long this prompt is. So it goes all the way. It asked me if I wanted to have multi-page or just one page. So this is the prompt, guys, all right? I didn't write any of this, ChatGPT did. Then what I did afterwards, did you see all of this?
Yeah, well, you need your next tab. It's not switched over, but I want to interject real quick. So that is a very specific prompt. After having played this, so she did a build, I did a build, and I did a simple build, simple prompt build. She did this complex one. After reviewing the results, I will say that the very complex prompt yielded specific results that are very good. Yeah. Very good in terms of being like a useful boilerplate. Like you start with this, you're like, oh, this gives me a lot of ideas. I see how I can use this. These are the exact components I will need. There's value into that process she just showed. Because you would probably show up, you type your stuff into this prompt that she's showing right now, and it would be a limited prompt. But that little enhancement layer of using ChatGPT or whatever AI you prefer to pre-prompt based on some information actually yields very precise, very useful results with this tool. So I would recommend following that process if you're going to do anything real.
Yeah. So what I did afterwards, I went to aistudio.google.com, and you can see when you get there, there's this thing called build, right? And so this is where I went, and describe your idea, right? So this is what the prompt goes. It's using Gemini 3 Pro preview. So I literally dropped my prompt in here. And what happened, I recorded a video. We're not gonna do the we're not gonna redo this now, but I will show you guys the actual video that I recorded, so that way we can save some time.
The crunching takes a couple of minutes on average,
yeah,
and depending on the size of the prompt, it can take like 5 minutes.
So, gosh.
Well, I don't think there's too much to show there with that, really. We can just show the results.
Oh, no. I want to show it. So right. Can you see this?
I don't think they'll be able to hear it. Is the problem.
But it doesn't matter. But can you see this?
Yes.
Or the. So I put the prompt in, and it started cranking, started thinking. The prompt is in here.
Can you mute it?
Build mode in AI Studio Google. Yes. Okay. So can you see this?
Yeah.
So it's thinking. It started creating all these files over here. So it thought for 25 seconds, but it ran for over, I think, a minute as it started creating. So it's all the files, and it's checking all the things it needs to check. So it keeps working and keeps thinking. And then literally, it
creates output typically using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but it's using TypeScript for most of its JavaScript. Just a note for the developers who are playing with this kind of stuff.
Yep. And then once it was ready, it revealed this website.
Okay. So, all right. So you can click full screen up in the right-hand side.
So I'm going to
but I guess you can't on the video. But when you switch over to that tab,
yeah,
it did some really interesting things. It reimagined her logo in a way that I think is actually pretty nice. It used Google fonts to do it. It can only use Google fonts. It can't use like custom fonts that you're using on your site. But it did a really interesting job and dynamic use of the Google fonts. I thought it was really cool.
So this is my site now. So can you see this?
It's loading, yeah.
All right.
So yeah, on that right side, there's a full screen button. It's hidden right now.
This is the actual site, and then I can go do full screen.
Yeah, okay.
And because I gave it a prompt so it uses all my information that I put in there, and I asked it to be a one-page site. So I could have done, I guess, multiple pages, but in this case I didn't. So it did a really good job for the first try. Like, I didn't edit anything afterwards. I didn't change anything. And I thought I could do live change to this so we can actually see how this works. But I actually like this better than my original site without even tweaking it.
Yeah, it's clear. I was trying to show the contrast earlier. That's what I was saying. Let's show your site with this now.
On device, it can show you like what it looks like on the mobile. So you can see different things here, kind of how it looks on a tablet. So, you can do all of this, and then you can go and see the code. So I guess you'll be more interested in all of that stuff. But anyway, what did you want me to do?
Well, I was saying earlier in the show, I was trying to show people what your website looks like right now so they'd have a comparison basis.
Yeah. Did you show it?
Well, it's not working. You gotta get off the stage.
Oh, me?
No, here we go. Let's see if that'll work. So here was the original website as it is right now. It's just a simple site. It's nothing special. We've got some information cards here to send visitors to the right place for their needs. But it doesn't really give you a great idea about what the business does. And it's not targeting any visitors, trying to identify avatars, things like that. It's not really giving any hints. And it's visually, it is text dominant with some big blocks of color. Now we'll flip over to the other one though. And if you can go full screen there, that might make it a little bit more clear. But this is really interesting. So you got, so there's some UI things just to notice. Like, it's got this green little blurb before it says hire salespeople who actually sell. It's got a particular header style that it's using. It's got a particular button style. It's got some other stuff. We will see this pattern again. So this thing's clearly spitting out a a current UI pattern right now that's based on popular trends, but it's doing cool stuff. It's got these little overlay call outs on the images with some helpful text. I mean, it's simple. It says 10 plus years of excellence, stuff that's adding legitimacy to the business. It tells more about it, like full cycle recruiting done for you. Here's what we do.
It did better job than I did. Clearly.
It described the pipeline. I thought that was very impressive.
Yep. It's used
that
my
section up there.
process. Literally, guys, all I did was that minute that I showed you. I created the prompt, I put it in, and this is what happened, right? And so, do you want to keep talking about
this?
Well,
we'll see in a minute how this contrasts with my simple prompt. Like, this is way more targeted. It's got more sections going down the page. It's more descriptive about what the business does. It's very good. But also, with the prompt I'm going to show you with this other site in just a moment, it really feeds off what you give it. You can try to tell it to imagine some things and do a good job. It doesn't do a very good job. You need to feed it what you want, and it can riff on that information. It can do a good job riffing on it, but it's not good at coming up with all that stuff totally from scratch. But you can ask it to suggest some things, and there's in that Greg Eisenberg video, you can see that you can give it some chances to do that. Like, you maybe say, hey, give me 5 ideas. And maybe one of those ideas will be really good.
Well, that's what I was gonna do. Let's add that prompt that they played with, which was add what did they say? 5 native.
Add 5 AI features.
I'm doing this live, you guys. Okay, I add 5 AI features
for visitors to use.
Okay.
Make the site multi-page so the links will work.
Make the site multi-page.
And make sure all links work.
So the links.
We had to get rid of so they work. Just, well, whatever.
Hold on. Make the site multi-page so the links would work. What else?
Yeah, so the links will work. And let's see, what else can we do here? It's got a nice call to action at the top. I'm just trying to think of any other prompting here. I think the other sections are pretty good. Let's just see what it cooks with this.
Okay. Well, let's see. This could completely backfire, but we'll find out.
This will give you a good feel for how long this takes too.
It's running. So do you wanna kind of talk about the screenshot now, or shall we stay here and kind of watch?
Which screenshot?
Well, the way the screenshot, like how you can literally take any screenshot you like online and create something similar for your website. That's good.
So you can do a screenshot, or you can share a URL with the little prompt box there. It works off either one. It's really good at generating stuff off of a picture, though, like very, very precise at translating an image to HTML. That is not an insignificant task, but it's really good at that. But it also clearly has a very limited set of design capabilities. It really has one style for now. It makes sense to me when you think about how this probably has to work, but it's still pretty good.
So I don't know if you want to show that, but basically, like for me, as somebody who is very design challenged, if I find a homepage or a sales page that I like, then I can just screenshot or send the link that I want to create something similar. You guys saw my original website. It's nothing to write home about. And so it will be interesting to use the screenshot or, recreate this page exactly how I want it. And I'll show you guys how it looks like before and after. Let's see.
While this thing is still crunching.
Oh, I want to, see. So it thought for 65 seconds. That's a lot.
Yeah, now it's generating output.
97 seconds. Yes. So what did you want to say?
So I am really liking this for idea generation. So we're talking about on-the-fly idea generation. You're talking about something you want to build or bringing this up with somebody. Use this as a rapid prototyping tool to kind of see and get a feel for what you're talking about, and then use it to pull the really good ideas from this process. This rapid process is really, really good for creativity. It's like an enhancer, like you're seeing something and then suddenly all your neurons are exploding. You're getting good creative ideas. It is a really rapid fire way to kind of pull new stuff into your realm that you can use. To me, this is all like that. This stands out as the most powerful use of this for now. It's not like, oh, I just built my website. Now I'm going to go deploy exactly this. Well, I'll talk about a way to do that here at the end of this, but I don't think that's as useful as the rapid prototyping and then pulling these creative ideas into your reality.
And what we just asked about add 5 AI features, what basically it's doing It's running against all the Google's LLM for my kind of business, what's common, like what's bleeding edge, I guess, what's out there when it comes to AI features, which I have no idea. I don't have to do this research. So whatever it's gonna show me now will be very interesting. But even if I keep one of those ideas, like they talked about in Greg's video, that's worth it for me, because then I'll have something that will actually be helpful. Well, I really hope that it works.
Yeah, it's about to be done. But before we dive into it, great. Losing my train of thought as that thing switches over. Shoot, we'll come back to that. But hopefully when this thing pops up, the point is the AI features that this thing embeds is not this is not trivial. It's adding AI functionality to your site. Like, you don't have AI functionality on your website right now. You don't have a prompt that works. You don't have something visitors can use and interact with. This runs through Gemini, and it has models, and it's already feeding it the right context. It's doing some prompt engineering stuff that would be a pain in the butt for you. It's like well out of reach for everybody right now. I can do this with PageMotor, but I'm on the bleeding edge.
Yeah.
This is already baked in. It's very, very intriguing. We're going to look at least one feature, and I think this is going to spit out another one for us here soon. We're going to look at least one feature today that's an embedded AI prompt on a website that's going to make you scratch your chin and think, wow, I think I might like to have that kind of feature on my sales pages, something like this. It's very, very neat.
So while it's thinking, maybe we should go and look at the screenshot thing, because I think you have access to that as well. And then we'll come back to this.
I'm blanking on the screenshot thing, maybe because I went through the PageMotor demo one.
Yeah. I wanted to show the homepage, how I basically took a homepage from PageMotor. So I just wanted to show that as an example. Right. So do you want to remove my thing from here?
Yeah, let me see if I can. I'll theater mode it. That's good enough. And then we'll share this tab. Then we'll add to stage. We'll remove. Add to stage. There we go.
Great.
Wait. Oh, this is the video. Yeah. Okay. So what she did was she uploaded a screenshot of the PageMotor.com website. And it's not even the full body of the HTML. It's just like the top part that you see in your browser when you load it up. And then she fed it in. This thing crunched on it for 1 minute, and then it's going to spit out its version, a recreated version of the PageMotor website from an image, which is pretty cool. It's translating an image, which has no HTML, CSS, JavaScript data, into a website. So any second now. I'm actually not. Okay,
yep,
towards the end of the video. So there it is. There it is, which looks very much like the PageMotor website.
Can you show your?
I'll pull the real one up here. Here is the real PageMotor website. It could have mimicked response, but it doesn't know what they are through the image yet. That'll be a really cool tool if it can identify fonts through an image. But it did a pretty good job. We're gonna flip back. Where's the here it is. We'll flip back over. Like, not too shabby. It used Georgia, and it actually kind of messed with the font a little bit, kind of weird. But it did a reasonable reproduction of something from visual input only. That is remarkable. That's a big step. And this will be something that's more useful in other contexts. But a guy did a demo he scratched out a little sample layout on a cocktail napkin, took a picture of that with his phone, fed it into the model, and it translated that into HTML and CSS for them to look at and play with. That's really cool. It's like taking a two-dimensional thing and then having this 3D thing that you can play with. That's again, this is a creative synthesis tool. This is not a production tool yet, but it's a creative synthesis tool, and I don't want to downplay that kind of thing. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so how's your crunching going over there?
I think it's running into some kind of problem. It says restoring from. I wonder if we give it too much to fix. This is the joy of live demo. It says failed to load the app. Try reloading it, which I'm trying, and it's not reloading.
It might auto fix. we can look at the PageMotor demo I did if
Yes.
you want.
Let's do yours and then I'll come back to this.
Okay. I really like what it did for you. All right, so let's see. I'll switch over and then we'll look at my prompt. So here we go. Before you, I've already given away the goods here, but I used a simple prompt. She showed you that really nice detailed prompt that ChatGPT generated. I did a much simpler prompt. I said, reimagine the PageMotor website, gave it the URL, said based on the content that's currently on the site and anything else you can find out about it via Google search. Make this new design light mode by default. It actually failed at this, which is funny, but give visitors the option to switch to dark mode by clicking a toggle button in the header. Make everything work, like links. Include a section with social proof pulled from the current beta page, and I gave it that URL as well. It failed at this. Use branding colors from the PageMotor logo uploaded here. So all I did was upload the PageMotor logo. You can see it. It's tiny. It's red and yellow here. And be sure to include that logo in the header as well. For additional context, PageMotor is an AI native CMS platform that's intended to serve as a direct replacement for WordPress. With its obsessive object-oriented architecture and simple data models, which rely on JSON in many cases, PageMotor is perfectly suited for AI leverage. That's all I gave it. But I said, reimagine the website with that information. I thought it might browse pagemotor.com and kind of try to pull in more context. I don't think it did a good job of that, but I do like what it did. So here it is.
Stop wrestling with WordPress. That's funny.
Yeah, it did all the copy. It does all the stuff itself, which is really
context is really cool.
So it adds these, we call these beacons. So it added beacons. It's these little UI elements that are popular right now, and they're kind of interesting. We've got, obviously, it's call to action at the top. This is kind of the main thing. And it's got an interesting visual that loads above the scroll. This was a code-based one. I'm not sure how relevant this is, but again, my prompt sucked. So with a sucky prompt, it's going to do the best it can. But these are interesting, creative ideas nonetheless. Like I can see how, okay, I might actually want to do something like this and sort of to show developers and agencies how simple the data inputs can be. And it's given some unsubstantiated figures about like 50 millisecond time to first byte, super fast, edge caching, not even relevant, schemaless, instant updates. Like, I don't even know what that means, frankly. But we've got, sections here. We've got a section with some simple feature cards. It actually used an icon for AI ready architecture, which is the same icon that I use to indicate AI inside PageMotor. Kind of neat. It had no idea about that. It's just a guess. And then it talks about, little stuff that I put in there. It made some guesses. It did not pull in any actual testimonials from the beta page where I have real ones. It just made stuff up.
It will tell you all the wonderful things. So that's another thing people got to be careful on, because you can literally create any testimonial. But I guess you could always do that. So it's nothing new in there.
But then we got a full width section. We call these bleeds. If you've been in my sphere for a few years, it adds a full width bleed. Any good, interesting page is going to have a full width bleed on the scroll. And then here we go. This embedded, it said, ask the AI about PageMotor. And it's just a little prompt. It doesn't have all this extra text. It has this because I already generated a prompt. But, ask the AI about PageMotor. Not sure if it's right for you? Ask our AI assistant. It uses Google search to find the latest info on CMS technology. And so I said, it gave some preordained questions you could select from, or you can type in your own. I chose one of the preordained questions. It says, what are the benefits of object-oriented CMS? And it gave a big ol' answer here. I don't love the formatting of the answer, but I love that you can ask the AI a question. It crunches it right there on the front end. This is what I was talking about earlier. You don't have this kind of feature on your website right now, but man, it is not hard to imagine. Sales pages could be enhanced by this. Customers have questions. We mentioned way back on a episode like 10 or so episodes ago, how, you do the best you can on a sales page to identify the things that customers, your potential avatar, are going to want to know. But the problems are, you don't always cover what they want to know. They can't ask. This gives them the ability to ask. And you also, it's really hard to overcome things that the customer doesn't understand yet. Like, you're selling a thing, but the customer doesn't fully understand that thing. And if they don't fully understand that thing, they can't ask. There's no way to get clarification. There's no way to even tell that they don't understand. They're probably just going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an embedded prompt like this, an AI assistant, you can start to overcome some of those challenges to sales And that strikes me as being so powerful. And you don't have to think about sales. You can just think about like information, the connection there, like how tight a connection are you getting with your audience? This is a way to have a back and forth to tighten that connection. And that is super powerful beyond just sales. It's sort of an enhancement layer for everything, for understanding, which is huge.
So, where should we go from here? Because I'm running into the issue.
Your thing's dying. I mean, I can try to.
So let's actually see, like, can we solve this in real world? This is why prototyping is great, but when it comes to the actual fixing the problem, can we? Let me remove yours. Can the human developer?
I think you need to actually reload that browser page and then try that prompt again.
I did. Okay. Well, you tell me what to do. This is the real life brains, interactive. So I've done the reload the app, didn't work. I've done completely reloading the thing.
Yeah, let's do this.
Didn't work. And the next thing I'm going to try is I'm going to go.
Attempting to crunch. Okay.
I'm going to try to go back to start.
Yeah, reopen the project. Try
and I'm just going to open it this way and see if it's going to create anything. And it did not. It keeps saying autofix. The error failed to. I mean, you see.
Did you click that autofix thing? It looked like it was highlightable.
I did.
Okay.
But it just keeps on doing the same thing. So now what? What do we do? And how do we?
I can't believe something that's 3 days old would have any bugs.
And what do you do with that, right? Like, you still need a human helper to.
Maybe I can flip back and forth here and point out some of these things that I think are funny quirks.
Okay.
So
what do you want me to do with mine? Just keep it running?
Just don't worry about it for now. Yeah, you can keep trying. So the first thing here is this beacon. So here's the PageMotor one it did. Here's the sales revenue hire one. It did a beacon up here. So it's clearly got some elements. This call to action section with 2 buttons, like choose this or this. Psychologically, this is very smart. Marketers have figured this out for years on the internet. You give people the action you want them to take. And you also offer an alternative that gives them more information about, because usually people are seeking more information, gives them that access to more information. Then it's, do I want this or this? You're asking them to take an action, but if it's an action they don't want to take and there's no alternative, they just bail. But if you give them an alternative action that could be interesting, you capture more with that. So that's a smart little thing. They did the exact same thing on the PageMotor site. It's weak here because Olga's prompt was way better. This one's super weak. View documentation. Who cares? That's not sexy at all. But it's doing the same thing. You got your big headline. You got a little lead sort of paragraph to let people know what you do. Same thing over here. Got some social proof beacons there that she had because she had greater context. It didn't do that for my little PageMotor one because it wasn't as good. And it also adds these little pop-ups. I like these overlays that it did. 10 plus years of excellence. Again, we've got some more little mini beacons. Sales only, boutique focus, results driven. And then it's got cards. So over on the PageMotor site, it also used this card format to introduce features. It's just a little different way of doing it. They look a little different. I like that it's dynamic enough to make these look different in different scenarios, but it's using the same basic set of elements. But the fact that we see, like, even up here with the headlines, like what we do, and then a headline, and then a quick little paragraph. We go over here. Why PageMotor? A headline. This one has a little underline thing to make it more interesting, and then a little paragraph. So it's using the same motifs, but it's applying them in different areas and for different needs. So it clearly has a limited set of tools that it's using. I like the dynamic way it's able to use the tools that it has. I do think I could spot a site built this way every time, just like I could spot an AI image. I don't think that's a bad thing, though, necessarily. Like if the information the user wants is there, does it matter that it was built by AI? Most people aren't freaks like me. They're not going to be identifying every little thing like this.
So I guess the question is, now you have this. Now what, right? And
this I like this too, by the way. This is great.
Huh?
I like this
again. Like this, I'm actually rebuilding the site from the scratch right now. So it's I went ahead and I was like, I give up. I'm just gonna rerun this.
Okay, it'll take a few minutes. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So I do want to add 5 features though, because I want to see how I want to demonstrate how that looks.
We got
So
more
now,
cards down here done differently. It's done real quick. It's done a CSS gradient on this full width section here. This bleed. It's done a CSS gradient. It starts off light green and goes to white, or a very light, even lighter green as it transitions into the next section. Just little subtle things that are pretty good from a UI basis. Like if you're just prototyping, you're a business owner and you want to see this stuff, this is a really nice place to start. It's going to give you an idea that like this is pretty good. And I see a lot of agencies churning out stuff that's way worse than this. So like it sets the bar. I like that. It's like, we got to be at least this good to get in now. And I think that that's productive from the entire market standpoint.
and you can create the because it's running on Gemini's, LLM, you can create literally like a task for it. Like, let's say every day, post the freshest news about, I don't know, sales hiring or who is hiring or whatever. And it actually can embed that in the site, and it will show you like it's making it more real life and connecting to the internet. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of like, you can make it as strange as you want in terms of like actually using agents to ship. But the question of the day is, okay, you have this code. Oh, look, actually, let me show you this one.
Do you have results?
I do have results. It looks a little bit different now.
Yeah, great.
Than it looked.
Fun.
So this is what it looks like now.
Look, it did another thing with the logo. Love it.
Yeah, it's definitely so I think it ran it a little bit differently, so it looks similar but different. I mean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, see, it's riffing on it's got some themes and it's riffing on these themes. I think this is cool. I like it's remixed a little differently.
And then I'm just gonna say add 5 AI features now.
It used fewer images this time, which I find curious.
Yeah.
Of course, the other images
what
were
did
like
you say? Add 5 AI features that do what?
Just say add 3 AI features that visitors can use to discover more about what Revenue Hire does.
Well, let's just can use. I think that's good.
Okay.
Let it surprise me. Okay. Another thing I wanted to show that you can actually edit particular parts of the site. So if you just want to, edit this part, maybe like you don't like the font or you don't like the color, you select this little annotate app and select which part you want to prompt. So you don't have to run the whole site, but you only do like, I don't like this logo, I don't like this color, I need to fix this thing. So it's very like surgical kind of precision.
It creates a highlight box. You just drag the rectangle around all the stuff that's within the context you want to change.
Yeah.
And then you can add a little note and say, please make this green or something like that.
Right.
And it'll just do that part of the website.
I think it's working. Let's see what it says.
So it says here, describe the 3 features it says it's added.
To integrate 3 AI features that align with the Revenue Hire's boutique sales recruiting brand, AI hiring assistant, job description generator creates high energy sales specific JDs, interview questions generator, candidate scorecard builder. I don't know how exciting that is, but some ideas, I guess.
Yeah, creative idea generation.
We're right. We'll see what happens. But those are once it's ready, I definitely want to see what that looks like and what's the vision, because clearly I'm not even thinking about this.
So another underrated aspect of this is, what are some points of interaction that a visitor might use that might be interesting to them? Like, we don't think that way because we haven't had websites that had this capability. But if you can offer a prompt that a visitor will actually use with interest, you've already made headway with that potential customer.
Yeah.
And that should not be undervalued.
So here's what it created. Select a tool, JD generator. So I guess
play with one. Do one. Play with it.
Okay, let's say it's SaaS Hunter. This is interesting.
Yeah, these are so neat.
This is, you guys, that prompt that Logan used with integrate 5 AI features. I mean, this is kind of cool. This could be a fun thing for my clients. I could actually create something that lets them search for compensation, and just kind of aggregate that or whatever. Like there's now my juices are running with what I can do with this.
Right. I immediately thought you could have a thing for you do the revenue optimizer or the resume optimizer. Hey, you want to get a job in this field, optimize my resume for that type of position.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is just for my ideas, something for my visitors to come to the website and be excited about it, and it's generating. Fascinating. It feels so giddy to play with this and have all these ideas to like kind of how to reimagine my site. But now the biggest question of the day, yes, great. I have all of this. This is amazing. This is awesome. How do I make it live? How do I actually ship? Because here,
can I use this even? Can I actually use this?
Right. So you can download the app. Okay. What does that mean? You can save it to GitHub. I don't have GitHub. Deploy app. I mean, I guess that's what I shared with you, right?
Well, I don't know. Is it?
No. Actually, this is what I have to start
up on
paying.
Google Cloud. Try it.
Yeah, I did. You have to start paying for the actual. I guess that's what they hosted on their cloud.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, if I do
I'll
that,
describe a way you can do it for free. I see.
You must enable billing for this project to proceed. Please refresh. So this will be on the cloud run service. So you could deploy it, but it will be on the Google Cloud.
Yeah, kill it real quick. So there is a way to do this for free. You can do it through a service called Vercel, Vercel. And you go to Vercel, but you have to have a GitHub account. So you can go to Vercel. They have deployment tools that you can search. You just want to use an HTML starter template. And then you pair it up with your GitHub account. And then you can take the output from Google, from the AI Studio. You can say, it'll give you a zip file for the whole thing. You just dump the contents of the zip file into a new GitHub repository that you create under your account. And then you pair that up with Vercel. And then anytime you make changes to that repo, it just updates your thing on Vercel's edge nodes. You get a free site from Vercel. It's like yoursite.com or yoursite.vercel.app, something like this. And that is free. That is all those services you can tie together for free. Now, I'm not sure if there's limits or whatever. But apparently you can even use DNS stuff to route that to your own domain. So I might play with that and show something next week.
So that's awesome. So you could do that. You can ship it. Have you been successful with that playing this morning?
No, because I don't have GitHub stuff yet, and I got to fool with that. So it's
so without the GitHub, I guess like that would be an interesting thing. Like, what do you do when you don't have GitHub?
Yeah.
I guess you
Chris, how can you be a coder and not have GitHub? I still use some version from 1,000 years ago, and it's just fun.
Okay. So the thing is that as a non-techie, I could download the file, and then what do I do with that? Or I guess I can host it on Google Cloud.
Well, if you have a website, you can just dump the project files on your website. I mean, I could do that right now, but you don't have a back end to run. There's not, everything is static. And that might be fine. And we discussed in previous shows, I think for a lot of businesses, a static website is a-okay. This looks like a really, really sweet way to be able to build something like that.
Well, and even, as I was kind of looking through, like, what do you actually do with this? You're obviously saving the project in the zip, whatever file, but then you can also ask Gemini to create an admin page. I
didn't test that, so I'm not real sure about the veracity of that information.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, so that's something that you can like do directly from there, but I don't know how.
I think it basically adds a JavaScript file where you can just do if you're authorized, you log in. If you're authorized, you can just make edits right there on the page, like on the live HTML document. I think that's how it works. I think it adds a JavaScript file if you're logged in. That JavaScript file enables you to edit the the HTML elements on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love it. So basically, what do you do with this? You can host it on Google Cloud. I'm not sure how it's going to translate into your domain, but it's still going to be pretty interesting to take this vibing option to somewhere where you can actually deploy it.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not sure that this is even reasonable to consider for like, okay, this is my actual website. Maybe it could be for very limited circumstances.
I like my website.
Creativity tool, an idea generation tool, also a branding tool. So I'm going to pull this back up. This is super powerful. I really love this aspect of it. because all I did was upload the PageMotor logo. Now, it did not even use the logo I uploaded, but it did honor the color scheme. It did pull the colors from that logo in a good way. And I like the color scheme that it came up with in this general presentation for the site, like icons in red, yellow accents with the stars, big data in red, a big red splash. So as an idea thing, I'm like, oh, okay. I see how this has value. I see how I could use this and kind of make my site seem a little bit more modern, perhaps, or like more desirable. I like this section here. I'm like, oh, now I have an idea for an element, a visual element that could be interesting to users. And I have an HTML and CSS model I could immediately rip off to do that more quickly. So like, that's cool. So if you're an agency or developer or designer, like, hello, start using tools like this to do rapid prototyping instead of building it yourself. Or even just to get ideas for fresh stuff, And I can see they'll be updating this with other design motifs. Like, I'm sure they already have it set up to where, like, okay, they've got a few design themes, or like they do the cards, but they do cards a few different ways, that kind of thing. Call to action section, maybe they'll have a few different remixes of this coming out relatively soon if the tool gets traction. So I can see how this type of thing expands and is very useful to creatives for websites.
So if you do have, like, I already have hosting set up, I could potentially take my folder, download the folder, and put it up on my, I have no idea how this works, but on my hosting somehow, and it will work.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to put it on my PageMotor because that's not gonna, like, the files are not gonna translate.
Yeah, PageMotor is a CMS. It doesn't run files. It runs your data and out builds pages around the data. That's not what this is fundamentally. But this
with PageMotor, you also build the website with a prompt, but your website already lives on your hosting as you build it, so you don't have to do any of this manipulation.
So the big contrast between what PageMotor is going to be able to do and what this tool does is that PageMotor builds it and delivers it all in an environment that's totally ready to use. You've got user management, you've got customer management, you could have e-com on there.
Right. You have the back end.
That's a site that actually works.
Right, the back end and the front end. This is only, and Gemini says this is only the front end, not the back end at all. So it's like, it's just kind of to look at and play with that. But I was just thinking, like, isn't that possible to create a prompt to put in the, like, once you know what you want, to create that prompt and bring to PageMotor to create a website exactly like that, so you don't have to worry about anything?
I mean, there's some challenges in doing that exactly like from this tool, but I could develop a tool where you'd be able to do that.
And you could not also put those files on, like, a WordPress, in the WordPress environment. They would not work.
No.
Okay. So for non-techies like me who don't have the GitHub or whatever, like, so what's your advice? Like, play with this, but how do you actually ship it?
Play with this. You're not going to be shipping it. You're not going to be shipping it.
What if you want to ship it?
If you want to ship it, you could take all these files and put them on your server directly. Just use an FTP client, dump them on there, and mess with it. Hopefully, it would just work. It may not. There could be some challenges there, but it doesn't need additional layers. It's not asking for a database. It's not asking for anything specific. Like if you have, like Vercel, that deployment method I kind of delved into earlier, like they've already got SSL set up, so your site will be HTTPS. You can run your DNS through it, so you can be yoursite.com. Whatever's on the Vercel deployment will just show up when you go to your website. So, but if you already have your own server, then you pretty much got those steps covered anyway. So you could just dump the files on there and play with it.
Yeah. Ken is saying a live, secure website hosted on Google servers for free, but built entirely with Gemini in the browser. So I mean, for those that are okay with that, that's what they can do. But I like owning my things. I like owning my own thingies on my own servers. But
all right, so I just put this on a server of mine real quick. I'm gonna test while we're on here, see if it actually worked.
Okay. We're doing lots of demoing today. This is awesome.
Nope, I got a white screen. I'm not surprised. It's not going to run a TypeScript. It doesn't have an index.html file. It has an index TypeScript file. Oh, but it did give me some stuff. It's just blank. I wonder why.
Well, so what's the conclusion from this? This is definitely fun to play with and see how you can reiterate and maybe like build something better. But there's still that big transition from actually building it. I mean, making it pretty to launching it.
Here's what I think it actually does in the real world right now. It enables the two people sitting at the coffee shop having a discussion about some idea or something they're trying to build and bring to life. It enables them to look at something. Like I said, it's 2D. It's just words between them. It's just a little sketch on a napkin, and boom, it's this 3D thing they can explore together to try and riff off one another and get ideas for what this thing is. Just doing the show today, I'm getting ideas for like embedded AI prompts on the front end and how an AI assistant, how that could be super beneficial. Those little tools that it showed for you, I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. If you can get visitors to take an action to get them involved and build up their interest, you've got a much better shot at establishing a relationship, getting a customer, whatever. These
So
are the tools that
basically,
you
as
need.
long as there's no like back end stuff that you need to worry about, this could be great even being hosted on Google server somewhere, right? Like basically, like if I want to create a little app that works for my fun little project, this is great.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if
and that
you're
hosting
building,
would be cheap. It's not even a big deal. Like, might as well do it that way. You're
but
avoiding a
if
lot of
you're
the technical
building a
crap.
serious business with a back end operation, that's clearly this is not a good.
Yeah. I would
Yeah.
see this as a way to do the cheapest, and I mean cheapest in terms of like concepts you need to understand, different entities you'd have to work with. This is the cheapest, fastest type of onboarding you're going to get, and you're going to get a pretty nice little result that's fun to play
Yeah.
with. So I mean,
Cool.
I would do this if I was not so deeply embedded with my existing workflows.
So the biggest hurdle is still the translation of the vibe coding tools to the actual real life environment, especially if you want to do it on your terms, right?
Yeah.
Anything else I have to say before I move on?
Nope.
This was really fun. I loved it. So thanks for being here with us. So let's quickly go through some of the quick news from the week that I thought would be important to talk about. One is Anthropic opened the kimono about their attack that they dealt with, I believe, in September. And it was Chinese state-sponsored group, according to them. And that was, have you looked at this? It has 7.5 million views in there.
Yeah, I didn't look at the thing Anthropic posted. I mean, I saw your post. I didn't dive into it, but interesting little case here.
Yeah, so I didn't
espionage.
want to spend too much time, but basically, like what happened is that back in September, they started noticing they started noticing things that were weird, and gosh, I'm trying to find this. Yeah, so they published this report about catching AI systems being used for actual espionage. This not could happen someday. It's like nation state actors. So Chinese state-sponsored hackers actively using Claude code to orchestrate cyber attacks on about 30 targets in mid-September. Big tech companies, financial institutions, government agencies, and Anthropic caught them. And I was just wondering, like, how? First of all, AI did 80 to 90% of the work. They jailbroke Claude by pretending to do security testing and then scanned networks, wrote exploit code, harvested passwords, and categorized stolen data by intelligence value. Thousands of requests, sometimes multiple per second. So they were attacking Claude, I guess, caught it, and then they built the protection for that. Like, does it make any sense to you exactly what they did?
Not really 100%. First of all, we just covered the Chinese AIs last week. Why the heck were they using Claude to do it?
Well, they were trying to
September.
get to the companies that use Claude, and I believe there were 4 confirmed leaks. So they stole some passwords.
Okay.
There haven't been any public news about what exactly does that mean, but I was just like, this was the first documented AI cyber attack that I was just curious if there's anything different about it.
It feels really bad. Like, this is terrible for Anthropic. They installed some security backdoors for access later.
Well, I was wondering wondering if that was you doing all of this work. Remember where you try to like, run all those things and you're like, oh my gosh, it's not working. I was like, maybe it was Chris running this thing, but
It was
no.
me just testing with PageMotor.
No.
But, like it's a little concerning, but like what data would they really get? So prompt data from these companies?
Well, they were able to get to some of those companies and again took some of the passwords and other personal data.
It would have to be just passwords for Claude, right?
Well, we don't know. I
It
guess
says keys to email systems, cloud storage, internal networks. Why would this all be on Claude? That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Well, that's what they're saying. When you're running something through prompts, you don't want to put any personal information, like sensitive information in there, because of this kind of reason. So I don't know how much, like they're just releasing this 2 months later, and I'm sure the clients that were affected knew about this, but I was just curious if you thought that AI attack was some different than any other attack.
Well, my big takeaway from this whole thing, from AI espionage, is this. Hacking is always about targeting known exploits in existing systems. With internet, there's like a limited set of known exploits. There's quite a few, but it's a finite number. And previously, you would set up a bot with something called a cron job, say like every 20 minutes, ping this website, look for these things, and take these actions. But you would have to say, okay, we're actually looking for this, like a cross-site scripting, exploit, or these kinds of vulnerabilities. If you have an AI doing it, it can run tasks. We know this at some specified interval. It can know the full range of stuff to search for, and it can actively seek out whether or not these exploits are available. With pre-existing hacking methods, a human had to go in and identify, is this exploit available in this environment? Okay, let's hammer it. Well, now the AI can do that on the fly. So it's a way to search all the potential trapdoors much more quickly, much more effectively. So that aspect of it is scary.
Yeah.
It's one way to view it. I actually think this is like really enhanced security. I think it's a pro security measure, because if you have something that can beat on all the latches and you can see what's broken, you can fix the problems more quickly. You can identify the full scope of problems more quickly, and you can fix them more securely. A lot of times you'll fix one hole, but not another, and you're just kind of transferring the problem. This enables us to actually solve these problems in total in a way that was really difficult before.
Right.
So I like this. I mean, it's a little scary up front, but it's really not that bad. This is a good tool.
Well, again, that's another reason to not put anything super sensitive when you're doing prompting with any AI.
Gosh, I hope nobody catches all my website prompts.
Oh no,
Big sexy website. Build me a plugin. Ooh.
I don't know. Anyway,
hello, China.
News number 2: Microsoft, Nvidia, and Anthropic. They have $15 billion partnership. Nvidia is investing $10 billion in Anthropic. Microsoft adding $5 billion, pushing Anthropic's valuation near $350 billion. And then Anthropic is committing $30 billion in Azure cloud spend. So it's just the news out there, like Microsoft is diversifying themselves away from OpenAI, which is interesting. And then Nvidia, of course, we know this about Nvidia; they're in everything. So that's the news of the week. News number 3: Apple's mini app program. Did you see that?
This is a little bit fascinating. I wonder if it's too
attack
late.
on Stripe. Apple does not like Stripe, I guess, taking away some of the revenue. So here's what happened. Apple's new mini app partner program looks like a super app feature, letting native iOS apps host smaller apps inside of them, like WeChat. But it's actually a strategic move to kill Web 2 app payment flows and steal payment volume from Stripe. So commission went from 30% to 15% for those mini apps.
Well, hold on. If you sell web-based services as mini apps within your app using Apple Pay, customers have to use Apple Pay, then Apple will cut your commission it will cut its own commission on your downloads and sales from 30% to 15%. So it's bribing developers to stop using Stripe checkout flows, actually really to use Apple Pay checkout flows. And it creates a new feature publisher business model where big established apps will now be swallowing up indie developers to have their apps inside of them. So if you're an indie dev, you won't be launching your own app now. You'll be launching your own app inside of TikTok, for example. And that to me seems like so like the big problem of internet now is attention and like influencer-ness. If you're not an influencer, you almost can't do anything. And if you're going to launch a big brand or something new, you need to latch on to an influencer to get escape velocity for your venture. The same thing is true with the App Store. Like, it'd be much better to sell within an established app, because then we check and say, hey, we've got a new app partner, check this out. And you've immediately got more exposure than you were ever going to get otherwise.
Yeah.
So this is actually a pretty smart play. I like the layering. Like,
I didn't realize
the attention layer.
Stripe was so annoying to Apple, but I guess it makes
Well,
sense.
they want dominance with Apple Pay.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of velocity with it. I still don't use Apple Pay, but I'm like a real curmudgeon about changing my patterns.
Yeah.
I'm a dinosaur like that.
News number 4, it was cute for those who have kids. Disney exploring AI video for Disney Plus. Their CEO revealed they're considering AI-generated video tools for viewers to create short-form content. So consumption model shifts to creation. I think
Disney Shorts.
Disney Shorts. It'll be fun for kids to play with. Putting themselves in there or whatever. News number 4, 5, or whatever it is on the order. Project Prometheus.
Prometheus. Firebringer.
Crazy name. Bezos is back into action, and he bets on AI for atoms. So he just came out of semi-retirement with a 6.2 billion AI startup called Project Prometheus. And I think he's betting everyone. I think what he's going to do is going to be very different than what everybody else is doing. And so what do you think about that?
So everyone is racing for compute. We need the GPUs. We need the data centers. We need to train up these models for reasoning and things like that. To me, Bezos has identified something I highlighted on the show last week, but that you don't really need to go crazy with building these models out to achieve human sentience. That's not where the most useful applications are right now. I don't think that's where the most useful applications are in the future. You don't actually need a crazy amount of computer intelligence to do things that are incredibly useful. Specifically, Bezos is targeting robotics, manufacturing, physical stuff, physical applications for AI. So you can think about like a plant that does machining. Okay, they maybe make steel molds that they're going to pour resin into to create plastic parts. There's a design layer where they do the plans. There is the CNC layer where you feed these plans to a machine, and then it carves out the steel block that the mold where the resin's going to be injected. That kind of stuff. Those processes can be enhanced and ultimately automated by AI. It's not crazy though. You don't need some genius AI to do it. It's a procedural thing. So he is saying we're going to put a lot of resources into these specific practical applications of AI for real world stuff, aka manufacturing, AI-powered manufacturing here in the US. He wants to do it to bolster his rocket production. Yep. So if you follow Elon on X, for example, he's always talking about the iterative manufacturing improvements they have in their rocket parts and Tesla engines, things like that. And it is remarkable the generational updates they have made. So I'm sure Bezos is watching this and he's like, well, we can apply this to
Elon already called him copycat. So
it is a copycat play, but he's
without knowing, and the majority of the money he's putting in is apparently is his money. And so he calls it AI for the physical economy, not chatbots, but world models that understand physics and gravity. They already hired 100 people from OpenAI and DeepMind, and they target aerospace, manufacturing, and drug discovery. So they're not sharing what they're actually making, but some of the guesses are physics native AI that predicts how metal bends, not just the next word. Generative design tools that spit out validated rocket stages in hours, and autonomous robot cells for space manufacturing. So, I mean, Bezos has a lot of experience with a lot of those processes at Amazon that they've done, that who knows how you can use that data to train AI in a very interesting way.
Well, he's just made the biggest play for practical applications for AI in physical space.
Yep.
You could argue that maybe Elon has made behind the scenes plays that are equally as big or bigger and he just doesn't talk about it because he does this holistic venture thing with SpaceX, Tesla, and all that stuff. But these are the two big guys to watch, and I like the direction this takes us away from raw compute.
He's making him, physical AI. I'm here for it. The next little piece of news that was kind of delightful and it caught my attention was there's a country song that topped a Billboard, but nobody actually sang it. So there's a song called Walk My Walk by this person, Breaking Rust, that no one knows about. And it's a fully AI generated vocals, instruments, and everything. So this song that most likely was created by using Suno or Udio for music. I've never heard of either of them. 11 Labs for vocals and Midjourney for the visuals. Total production cost about $50 to $100. There's no studio, no musicians, no mixing engineers. But here's the deal. It hit #1 on the Billboard's country digital song sales chart. And once you hit #1 on any of the billboards, the media picks it up. So there was 3,000 paid downloads that made them that #1 spot. And then from there, it went viral.
And that could have been botted, by the way, but it doesn't matter.
But now it's viral. It has 3.6 million Spotify streams, 2.3 million monthly listeners, and 150,000 TikTok. It already estimates made between 17 and 34,000 in just 4 weeks. So literally somebody printed money by finding a loophole and creating an AI song that when I played it to our 4-year-old this morning, he said it sounded like a man cowboy singing it. So, and after I told him it was AI, he said, well, that's really weird. So anyway, I told him it's not a person. But what do you think about that? Like, is this, I mean, you heard the song. I actually enjoyed the song.
It sounded a little bit like Darius Rucker from Hootie and the Blowfish fame, who's now a country guy. I really like his voice. It sounded kind of like him. And it was an interesting little thing. I noticed right away, though, after listening to it, that it did not contain all the typical elements of a song, but it does have something critical, which is an interesting vocal hook. So people love vocals. So like electronic music had a slower time taking off than regular music, pop music. Pop music is distinguished by catchy vocals that you can remember. This really captures that element well. You can really understand the vocals. It's got a real nice little basic chorus that the vocals go with. It just doesn't have like a crescendo and like emotional upswing and downturn that a human artist would almost certainly put into their song.
Well, I encourage you. I almost wanted to play that song, but I don't want to, spend time on doing that. But go check it out. Walk My Walk, and it's Breaking Rust. And I thought it was delightful. And I think this is an awesome thing for those who always wanted to publish their own songs. Like my sister, for example, she writes really beautiful, lyrics, but she doesn't have resources to publish her own songs. And that's all it takes. Like this day and age, you don't have to have an expensive studio or anything like that. And you can just record a song like that with creating a prompt for music, and boom, there you go.
Music is another perfect example of something that seems a little bit magical to us. Like, songwriters just pull this amazing song that, everybody ends up loving. They pull it out of thin air and they act, they like it was some divine inspiration or something like that. There's lots of Bob Seger talks about this. But the reality is it's very formulaic. It's mathematic. You can apply different principles to it. Certain frequencies, certain melodies, things like that engender different types of feelings in people. You can kind of predict this stuff. You could definitely generate great music with
AI to be like, hey, how do I make this viral? And just kind of use some tricks and tips on like what works and what doesn't. But this is, again, a cool opportunity to democratize something that was only for elite for so long. And now it's no longer that. So you can publish your music for friends and family and maybe spend $3,000 and make it go viral on some billboard.
Well, you can just have the asset for under $100.
Right. No,
I'm even cheaper than that. If
I want to do it for my sister now. Like, I'm doing this for sure. This can be fun.
Yeah.
Moving on. So I don't know what's gonna mean for like music in general, because I could not tell. You guys somehow can tell. I cannot tell if it's AI. To me, that sounded really good voice, very smooth.
I knew right away you could understand every word too well.
I am probably the worst.
I actually appreciate that though. I'm intrigued by the possibilities there. I like it.
All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is the vertical AI explosion. And I don't want to spend too much time on
No,
that.
let's do this quickly. We can bottom line it.
But here's what I wanted to show here. So I have, why don't you start talking about what it says, and then I'm pulling something up.
Okay. So,
Well,
we talk about all the models, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, but those are generalized AIs. You go to the prompt, you ask it anything you want. The promise is that the prompts keep getting better, or the AI models keep getting better. You can ask it anything you want. But the basic kind of thing underlying all this is that the right approach? Is this can do anything model right? Or is the exact opposite of that? Highly trained models in specific verticals. Is that more useful? I will put it out there and say, I think the vertical specific models are far more useful. They actually embody what it means for AI to do things. So I think that that's the only direction that captures any interest for me personally. And, we just said Bezos making his big bet. You don't need a sentient AI to do this. You need AI trained to do these specific outputs. It doesn't have like there's this race for AGI. I think it's totally misplaced.
Yeah.
I think the race for AGI is sort of brain dead. I get it. It's this fascination with bringing Frankenstein to life. But what's the point of that?
So here's the deal. So companies tried plugging ChatGPT into actual workflows, and it hallucinates too much. It doesn't understand regulations, can't connect to proprietary data, and when millions of dollars or human lives are on the line, 80% accuracy isn't good enough. So what does this mean? I know we talk about specific, LLMs, and I think it's good to know what's happening and like who's coming up with what models and what works and what doesn't work. But I wanted to show how much this market is projected to grow. All right. So today we are at about $13 billion for single purpose AI that's kind of a nicheified. All right. So it's a boring, specialized single purpose AI. So what does this mean exactly? $13 billion. So it's anything with like AI that reads cardiac echo videos and writes reports, AI that only processes insurance pre-authorizations, AI that only reviews M&A contracts for specific legal risks, AI that only spots defects on one type of factory line. So right now in 2025, those kind of nicheified AI single purposes are at about $13 billion. They're projecting it to hit $115 billion. Look at this measly thing. Can you see this?
Nope, it's so small I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a measly thing, 13 billion, and this is where it's going in 10 years.
That's over 10x.
So the reason why I wanted to show this is what I wanted to show you guys, because the hyper-focused vertical AI gets the money. And right now, the ones, I mean, all of you are here watching this, but the ones who are actually thinking, how do I bring this into my vertical to solve my problem? Chris talks about this all the time. But when I saw this little data in the news this week, I was like, I want to show the visual of where we are to where we're going. So right now, you don't sit there and think, oh, Google does this, whatever, somebody does that. But instead start thinking, how can I solve the problem in my space, knowing what I know, because this market is only going to grow. I mean, look how much it's going to grow.
Right. Well, I mean, we can draw this to today's show as well. What Google presented with Gemini 3.0 is this applied to website UI specifically. It doesn't branch outside of that. It does contain some basic code elements, but again, it's very limited use case. It's not can't be used in many different environments. That is super niche right there. And that's Google. Like this playing field is so open and so broad, and this is so early in that game. Anyone who is very familiar with AI and what the potential applications are can theoretically step into any vertical right now with the opportunity to totally dominate the future.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to I put all those files on my server, but because they're TypeScript files, my server doesn't have the directives necessary to run that out of the box. So I would have to go in and do some real nerdy command line stuff and add via an NPM installer stuff to make this TypeScript run locally on my website. That That pisses me off so badly that Google even did that. You don't have to use TypeScript. You can just write some JavaScript. But they don't do that, so it's freaking useless output, and you got to run it through all their servers. I mean, I hate that. Plenty of devs would be like, oh, it's no problem, man. I'm just going to go use my package manager. No, you freaking nerds. Get out of here with that. I want it to be super, super useful in every environment right away. I hate it. So anyway, I'm done. I'm wrapping up that earlier segment with the Gemini outputs there.
Yes. So, and then also I want to point this out. I created this artifact with Claude. So this is visualization. I thought that was kind of not the best, but still I didn't have to do it. It did it for me. So moving on to,
I like Claude branching out into 1990s internet styling.
Yeah,
there.
I love it. This is so good. So our treat for today is we're gonna do another spotlight on the company that can you share the?
This is your workflow for the week. This
Yes.
is your workflow for the week.
So AI economy is in the practical application. So do I need to? You're doing this, great. Okay, so remember this slide? We did this about a month and a half ago where we talked about what startups are actually buying in AI, and these are the 50 companies that are on what it was like 2,000 startups that they analyzed that they're buying AI.
1,800 startups. What are they paying for?
Right. So these are the companies that companies pay money to. So that means whatever they're selling is working, and the pain they're solving is also the pain that they need to scratch for their customers. So what we've been doing is we've been taking one name at a time. So far, we've done Opus Clip, we've done Canva, we've done Cursor, and we sort of peeled the curtain a little bit to show you how do they become successful, right? What is the revenue model? What's the marketing? But more importantly, what are the costs like? Because at the end of the day, we are right now in the wild, wild west of figuring out pricing. And especially if it's a wrapper, which most of these companies are, they wrap around other LLMs. And how do you make money doing that? So if you are interested about the other companies, go check it out. But today we are shining the spotlight on this company called Fyxer AI. And by the way, top 10, that means that they're getting the most money. So Fyxer AI is actually, getting pretty good money from the startups.
They have a lot of customers. They're very intriguing. This is maybe the most practical example of all of them because it's such a basic workflow item that touches almost everybody, every company for sure.
So what is Fyxer? What is Fyxer AI? So Fyxer AI is So McKinsey says professionals waste about 28% of their week, 13 hours, just managing their inbox, sorting spam, drafting replies, taking meeting notes. Fyxer automates it all inside of Gmail and Outlook. 2-minute setup, auto-sorts your inbox, pre-writes replies on your voice, joins Zoom calls, transcribes everything, and drafts follow-ups. Users save about an hour a day.
It can also integrate with schedulers.
Right. So customers are obsessed. So love, they feel like their inbox is tamed. They're even using like zero inbox as one of the marketing things. And for those people that are really obsessed with that, that's what they love. And then real estate agents, recruiters, consultants, regional banks, people who would never adopt a new tool, if that meant changing their behavior. But Fyxer actually helps those people. So like a lot of their clients are real estate agents. So what is Fyxer? So Fyxer, even though they started 14 months ago, and I'll show you their growth. So they started 14 months ago, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like. Their founders are Richard and Archie Hollingsworth. Before they started Fyxer, they ran a virtual executive assistant agency for 8 years, starting in 2016. They bootstrapped it to $5 million in revenue with 80 employees, and they were profitable. And here's where it gets interesting. They logged 500,000 hours of actual EA work, email sorted, replies drafted, meetings scheduled. Then GPT-3 drops, and they realize we have the exact training data to automate what our humans did best. They're not guessing about workflows. They watched all those inboxes getting triaged by professionals. So they launched and product market fit instantly. This is a great story of a company that was already successful, that had money, but they were limited by the number of people. They couldn't keep growing because they already had 80 employees, and that was too much headache, I guess, for them. But they have all those workflows that they already had, and then they took that, they know the pain, they know how this works, and they brought it into the AI world. Talk about niche. I mean, they're nichifying this like crazy. So what do the numbers look like? Let me share my little thing here with you guys.
I got it.
No, I have a different one.
Yep, I'm adding it.
So another thing designed by Claude.
Our friend Claude.
By Claude, yep. So here's what you can see here. From bootstrap to 25 million ARR in 2 years or 14 months.
Well, it's 2 years and 1 month right now.
So look at the revenue. October 2023 launch, January 2025, they got 1 million ARR. May, 9 million, 17 million, and now they are at whatever they are.
25.
This is the perfect picture of what every startup wishes they had, the hockey stick or whatever. So this is kind of what I thought that was funny. This is exactly what it looks like. And so look at their expenses. So far they got 43 million in funding. They were already profitable before. I mean, there was a profitable company before. They're not profitable, I believe, right now because they're literally growing. The gross margin is 75 to 85%. They've got 180,000 users and 100 enterprises, 100 plus. So they're really, focusing on the companies as well. They've got team size. I guess they kept the same team size, and their AI cost is to 10 to 15%.
That's the lowest we've seen.
Versus 20 to 30% industry average. And this is cool that we learn all of this because now we learn who is high and who is low. So if you look at their annual expense breakdown, you can see, people is their biggest expense because they're hiring obviously engineers and also growth people.
They have a lot of salespeople as well. Yeah,
they do. Marketing and sales, you can see that's a big expense for them. That's where they needed the funding too. And AI and compute is right here. And then compliance, I thought that was funny, and all the other stuff. But and this is how the revenue model looks like. They've got $28 a month, 6 million of that comes from standard, there's pro, and then there's enterprise where they have custom seats and all of that stuff. But what do you think about it so far? This is more of a detail.
Well, my big takeaway from this, or the light bulb for me, is Fyxer's dealing with text, simple text.
Mm-hmm.
And they can do something very interesting that's attractive to users is they can analyze your existing emails by going to your Gmail inbox and looking at your sent emails, and they develop a sense for your tone. And then they can have their tool draft emails in your tone that you've already established over hundreds or maybe thousands of emails. So you've got feels very personalized, and words are cheap. If their AI costs are so cheap because words are cheap. Words are super cheap. The calculations that they're doing, the connections they need to do, like figuring out scheduling and all that, they already had the workflows down from their previous business model.
Mm-hmm.
So really, they're piecing together a puzzle that uses AI. It's not the only component. It may not even be the primary component. I don't know if we had an insight into their exact process, but it's a perfect case for AI, and actually the strongest case for being a wrapper.
Yeah.
A wrapper for AI, because your usage cost is so small, fluctuations in the model really don't affect you very much. Fyxer is about a workflow, not about an AI wrapper. It involves an AI wrapper, but it's not primary. It's like secondary at best. So what a perfect model for this.
And their CTO obsesses over monitoring drift and unnecessary cycles. And so they are like really good at narrowing all the prompts, I guess, that they're sending because they're so specific. I mean, like how many emails can you really types of emails you can get. And I believe like their workflow, because it's so specific, it actually doesn't cost them as much as, let's say, the cursor does, right?
Yeah.
Where you have
Cursor is an open-ended, fat, bloated thing compared to this super streamlined, svelte Fyxer model. their CEO is on a topic. I've said it many times in this show, previous show, and other shows, but he gets that you don't need crazy compute for this. You don't need crazy compute. So he is maniacal about limiting those costs and that drift because it's just not that complicated.
But what I like about it, they were an agency before, right? With all of their assistants doing the work manually, doing all that stuff. So they had all this trainable data, right? That they're now plugging into the AI and making it very specific. So for even though they're not profitable yet, they are right now super obsessed with adding more users because they do live in Gmail. And people are like, well, why can Gmail just offer? I wish Gmail offered what they're doing, but I don't think Gmail, I mean, Google will either buy them because they've got all this users already using them, and they've got all the workflows that Google just doesn't really care like about figuring out how to make your email better, because Google is still sort of in the ice age, stone age, about helping me with my email. So I'm actually going to try Fyxer this week, and I'm going to see what it feels like and what it looks like. But I thought it was a very neat company compared to Cursor, where they went through two pricing iterations already this year. Cursor did. This company sounds very surgical, how they, their costs are under control, they're growing, and they understand exactly what needs to happen to keep growing. And they're spending a lot of their money on people and marketing.
Yeah. Here's a heuristic you can use to decide, like, is this a really good AI wrapper or not? And the heuristic is simple. If the model they use really matters, it's a crappy tool. It's a crappy wrapper. You should be able to insert any AI model you can get your hands on in there, flip the switch over to that, and still get really good results tomorrow. If the AI that you're connecting to really matters, your tool kind of sucks. Whatever application you're trying to do is too involved, too complex, too something. There are an infinite number of problems we can solve that are so specific that you could insert any, plug and play any AI tool you want and still get remarkably great results. If you can do that, you have a good system, a good tool. I think Fyxer kind of embodies that perfectly. And I also think, what kind of workflow is this best suited for? Many businesses have very predictable communications patterns. Doesn't matter what department, whatever. Like within this department, this is the predictable communications pattern, and the things like the deliverables through email or whatever, what we try to achieve. Anything like that is super procedural. You can really nail down what it is. If you've got those patterns in your email communications, or if that's a big part of your business, I think you really need to be looking at a tool like Fyxer, because it frees up, maybe you can get rid of some people. Maybe you can just free up time for the people that you do have. Maybe you can increase accuracy and known outputs across different parts of the business. This is really smart.
And just to be clear, they're not sending emails on your behalf or anything like that. They're just creating drafts that you approve and whatnot. But sometimes it's just like it's doing those little steps and then kind of sorting the emails. Again, I'm gonna check this out. But another thing I wanted to say, their model is the pricing model is seat per seat, which is the opposite, right? So like that's kind of your standard SaaS model where you pay per seat, and they figured out what the margins should be. And because they are so nimble and they understand the workflow so well, they can get away with that. But what we're seeing with Cursor, charging per seat was not a good idea. So it's kind of like you really need to figure out what works and what doesn't.
So the key variable for them is their cost per action is low, because you don't need many tokens for emails. You're not writing the Bible and transmitting it every time an email. Emails, especially business emails, are better if they're shorter. So they even have a cap. I think it was 500 to 1,000 tokens, something like that. They play with that, but that is a very small context window. It's a very small token count that keeps you nimble. If you have a small token count, the AIs you use, again, don't really matter that much. It's just not that complicated.
Yeah.
So I'm very impressed by this specific application, how it relies on AI, but not in a way where the AI changes to the model really affect their business. I think it's just really nice.
So anyway, just to sum this up, I love this little AI economy lessons in here, because it's nice to understand how companies make money and how they're profitable or not profitable. But in this case, they're not profitable, but they are leveraging their history of, what did they say, 13 years that they were around? No, whatever.
No, they were around for 8 years, but,
8 years.
You've got key things like if they grow to this point, then their margins, their profit margins will be this. If they hit this number, then that number grows even more. They're set up to capture more as they're able to get more customers, which is really.
But what that made me think about their business model. I mean, they're already $5 million company before that, right? And they had all those processes and all that history. And I'm like, how can I use that in my business? Because we've had it for what, 12 years. So all the processes that we've done and what we've learned, how can I do that? So I'm going to research and figure that out, because that's very interesting, because that data, AI does not have it.
Yeah, no, you do a lot of valuable processes. There's a lot there.
Just like Fyxer is doing that. So great job, Fyxer. How would we rate them?
I mean, in terms, if we give them like a practical rating,
yeah,
extremely high on the practical scale. Low token usage, high, like everyone's doing this, like everyone's using email.
Mm-hmm.
Every company has email-based processes, so high applicability.
Yeah.
This is rating very, very high on the practical AI scale. They have nice little simple design on their website. It's a pretty simple website,
Yeah, interesting.
I like it.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the model takedown and see how that works. And then as you're building your AI product, you can think about what works the best for you. Now you have a couple examples. So moving on to the last piece of the day. Can you see this? Did it change to a?
There it is. You got it.
Another Claude. Both of them were Claude examples, and I think they did a better job with visuals for this day, for this time. But right quick, funding was insane this week. 12.3 billion went to AI companies. Obviously, we already know big guy was 6.2 billion. That's for Jeff Bezos startup. I don't know.
That was the single biggest AI investment we've seen.
Yes, I don't even know if you can call it a startup.
75% of all funding for the week.
Yep. So 96 AI companies got funded. That's half of the companies. Yep. Average deal size was this, and the largest deal was 6.2 billion. So let's see where in the world it went. So it's interesting. The Prometheus didn't really see kind of the rest of the world is 6.3 billion. So it wasn't funded in the United States. It didn't have where it was funded, which I thought that was fascinating. So we don't know where it was funded, but
offshore Bezos.
It didn't have a place where it was funded. So
it was funded from his yacht.
I thought that was very interesting. But you can see that Europe had 263. Asia had, so basically another bill, like some money went, to all these places. But what are the top 5 AI companies? Obviously, we talked about Project Prometheus.
Lambda.
Right. So we talked about them. Location undisclosed. Do you see this? Yep. Lambda was $1.5 billion. They solved the GPU shortage problem, provide cloud-based access to high-performance GPUs, specifically optimized for AI training and inference.
Well, here's what this is. You have a company, you want to train your own models. So maybe you watch the show and you're like, I don't need that much. I can just train my own LLM for very context-specific thing, for a vertical-specific thing, but I need to compute. What do? You rent the space from Lambda. Basically, they got data centers. They give you access to GPUs, and then you run your stuff there. It's your way to buy off your little parcels of this without having to deal with the obvious massive technical issues that go with running your own GPUs, cooling, power, all that stuff.
Well, and then to train large models, I wonder if it's for companies like Cursor, who's
you could throw the Chinese model on there.
Right, exactly. I mean, that was the big news of last week. Luma AI, almost $1 billion, 900 million. What they solve, making video creation as easy as typing. Luma's tools let anyone generate photorealistic videos from simple text description, images, or existing video. Another video production tool got $900 million. This is freaking crazy.
I'm really excited about the simple video generation tools, though. I
mean, I know, but like, how many video tools do we need? I don't know.
Until they get it right. Kraken,
$800 million. It's a cryptocurrency exchange. Kraken increasingly leverages AI for fraud detection, market making algorithms, and trading optimization. So crypto.
I think this is an interesting investment. To me, the biggest signal, and I'm just guessing here, I could be totally wrong, but in crypto, a big thing that has been stagnating its growth is these people launching meme coins and doing what's called a rug pull. So they get people to
Oh, yeah,
invest,
yeah,
they
yeah.
pull the rug, and they basically profit, and everybody else gets screwed. So I think Kraken is employing some AI tools to kind of start combating that. Because if people feel there's security there, the investment money will flow. If they feel there's none, none will flow.
Okay.
So to me, this is like an investment in the future. But obviously, if it's got 800 million behind it, some people feel very strongly that this is a winning play.
Okay. Well, this is where the money is going. And then the Firmus Technologies, the only Australia company, non-US company, I guess, this week. And they energy efficiency crisis in AI. Running AI models generates enormous heat and consumes massive amounts of electricity. They build AI factories, specialized data centers with liquid cooling systems that maximize AI processing power.
We used liquor cooling in the 50s, but now we use
Token
liquid cooling.
output while minimizing energy costs. This is critical as AI compute demands explode. Yeah, I mean, we saw how it's exploding. I mean, like, even understanding the market right now, like what 13 billion, it's moving to 150 billion. We need all that AI power to power all of that stuff.
Yeah, right now that looks like the limiting factor.
Very interesting.
The grid.
And then some of the trends, infrastructure was king. Generative AI still commands premium valuations. Seed stage frenzy continues. 44 seed deals were completed this week. So again, money is still flowing. Fintech and AI convergence. So
the Kraken deal.
Fintech companies, getting the money, and then healthcare AI reaches inflection point. And so they've got 13 healthcare AI companies, which is great. Anyway, any other thoughts about this?
Nope. I mean, I'd say the big trends are continuing. I think healthcare is still under invested. AI for healthcare, AI for prosthetics, AI for diagnosis. I saw a couple tools. This one's kind of freaky, but there's a one called MEMM, I think. That's an insertable device for women that tracks periods. And they got some enormous investment. So we're AI enhanced wearables. So that's definitely going to be a thing. I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing more of that.
For sure. Very fascinating, but crazy numbers. I love my little visual thing. So
I know this one's compelling. I like the glowing yellow and the dark purple
with my Claude. All right, let's sum this up. So what's the big takeaway from today? So what we've done so much today. Oh my gosh, thanks for bearing with us. But what is your takeaway from today?
We saw a magical tool with what the new Gemini can do. But I want to make sure everybody knows it is super limited. It is very limited. It is a UI creator. But the way it creates is fascinating because you can start with a sketch on a cocktail napkin. You can point it to a website. You can start with a basis, and that basis can be very simple, and it can give you a dynamic three-dimensional result that you can actually play with. This is fantastic for prototyping, but again, it's also super limited. It's not like Google just stepped out and captured a ton of market share with this, but they are increasing the creative landscape. And if you're not using these types of tools to bolster your creativity at this point, you are definitely falling behind to people who are. Like, these are, rapid prototyping is not just about having a thing you can use. Sometimes its best value is in the ideas and the clarity it can help you achieve before you actually launch something real. So I think that is, that's fantastic. And it's a tool I'm certainly going to be playing with and using. I'm already excited to do some stuff for my site. I think your site is even more practical.
Oh my gosh. It was embarrassing to see before and after. Because my business all comes from referrals, so I never really have to worry about my website. But now I saw what it could look like, and I'm like, how can I do that? Especially since we're transferring my website from WordPress to PageMotor. I want to kind of use some of the elements and see how I can use that.
Absolutely. So we'll be sprucing that up.
So my biggest takeaway is I'm definitely going to try Fyxer for my email. I want to see what that works, how that works. And then I also think that understanding pricing, I am building another a company that will be helping with upskilling and other things with AI. And learning about pricing helps me understand what I need to know for us when we are setting pricing, and learning about all these different models and understanding the more nuanced my process is, the more I'm going to save on prompting, like how much money I'm going to spend on AI. Because we've seen
Right.
companies like Canva that is very, very conservative, and they're profitable and they make a lot of money. Then we've seen companies like Cursor, and then we've seen companies like Fyxer, and all of them, like, it's fascinating to learn from them. So I love that I got to see that. And obviously playing with Gemini, I actually I understand that the agentic workflows got better. So I'll report more on that next week, because I really do want to incorporate more for the work backend, what we do for my recruiting company, and using those processes with Gemini 3, because I was blown away with the quality. Before that, it wasn't as impressive. Now I'm like, kind of like that guy on the meme, checking it out, like, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, well, I hope this was helpful. Let us know in the comments which was your favorite part. What do you want more of? What do you want less of? We are doing our best to bring you the freshest news of what's going on, what's happening over there. But let us know. Your feedback is very important.
Oh yeah, one more thing. PageMotor is going to have an open beta again. I'm thinking like Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday, I'm going to open it back up. If you are not part of the beta right now, what you'll be able to do, you will be able to play with an embedded AI inside PageMotor. You can create content, which is quite fascinating, especially with the formatting and ads. And you can also create plugins and play with code and build the future if you want, if you're into that sort of thing. And there's going to be other stuff that I'm adding as well. That's just the very first couple things I've done. I've got the whole system working. Now I can work on building it out, making it do more fantastic things. But then also I'm going to be doing, as this second beta process unfolds, I will be building an e-commerce plugin for PageMotor. So the interim goal is to get, fully functioning e-commerce sites, because I kind of think a site's not worth anything unless it has e-commerce at this point. And then the larger goal is I want you to be able to create an entire website like the stuff we saw from Google Gemini from a prompt. But the difference is that it all works. It's all integrated. It's all right there. It's got this whole, you got the admin backend. You've got user management. You've got content management. You've got design management. You got all the stuff you actually need in one package, and it all just works. And your website, you built it from a prompt instead of having to get a developer, maybe an SEO, designer, all this stuff that's fraught with disaster.
Great stuff. I know, with vibe coding is like looking at the candy shop through the glass. You're
That's
like,
right.
oh,
You can't touch it.
And then with PageMotor, you're like, oh my God, I actually get to play with all of this.
You stuff all the candy down your mouth in one.
Oh my God. Anyway, Lawrence, glad it was helpful. Thank you for feedback. This is important. As I really want to keep tweaking what we're doing here, but and have more guests. So that's kind of the next goal. Now that I've figured out my visuals and all of that stuff, and now we actually do demos.
We also need AI built intro music, clearly.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's gonna be the next thing. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Have an awesome weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.